You're listening to Rocket Night.
Are you ready? Tonight I'm gonna take you on a little trip. We're going down south by the mighty Mississippi. I'm gonna take you to a place where lights never dim. Bring your mother, your brother, and your best friend. I'm gonna show you where they dance out in the street. They'll tell you all about your body heat. I'm not gonna talk about it, just gonna do it. Get on down if you feel up good. Get on down.
Why don't you like give a quick introduction? I loved your guys' song. I mean, I love the way you guys have like infused the Indian instruments into your music. So why don't you start?
Yeah. So I'm Cornelius, and I play guitars and I play some of the traditional instruments for the band called DYMBUR, and we are based in Shillong, Meghalaya.
And I am Andreas. I recently joined the band. It's been about a year and a half now. I've been with DYMBUR. I play the guitars, I play the bum, and wherever I think need be, between me, Cornelius, and Gaudi, I think we can shift and shuffle our instruments if and when needed.
Got it. So you guys are, I mean, the band consists of 5 members or
Six
members, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So why don't you like start with how you guys come up with like forming of the band? When did you guys start? Kind of like the history about the band.
So yeah, we formed DYMBUR. I formed DYMBUR along with Mason, who's still here with us, and we formed the band in 2012. Okay, so that was like it was 10 years ago. So basically, like when we started the band, we played progressive metal, we played gent, and so we released our debut album in the year 2019. Okay, and right after that, the pandemic hit us, and I thought like we should do something with this. We were supposed to go for our album tour. Okay, we were supposed to do an album tour
and it was in India, the tour.
Yeah, it was in India. So we had a few cities lined up and everything was supposed to happen, but then the pandemic hit us and we had to stop everything. So that was the moment when I sat and I thought about we should do something that is going to bring us to the limelight, maybe somewhere down the line. So, and since we all belong from Meghalaya, from Shillong. It's a city in a state called Meghalaya, and we do have our own traditional instruments out here. So I thought of why not we try and fuse these traditional instruments along with metal and create a sound of our own. So that's how it started. I mean, the new DYMBUR came up in 2020.
And it's great, actually. So I'm actually from pretty close to Northeast. I'm from Calcutta. And
oh, nice.
Kolkata.
I still call it Calcutta. I still like the old vibes. So, I have friends in Northeast, so I'm pretty aware of the scene over there. Like India has like the Northeast has a pretty unique like the band scene, and so it's good to know that like you guys are infusing the like Indian instruments and the Indian sound. So, I mean, why don't you like talk more on that? Because it's kind of like stands you guys out from like the other bands, right? So, I mean, were you guys like trained into Indian like instruments, or how did that happen?
So basically, these are not like Indian instruments, okay? These are like our own. We belong to a tribe called Khasi tribe, okay?
Got it. Okay.
So, so these instruments are our own traditional instruments. Indian instruments are basically different, like the sitar and
right. Exactly.
Other instruments. So,
but I saw you guys were using kartal in the beginning.
Yeah.
So kartal or.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that is you call it kartal in like North Indian, and in Hindi we call it kartal, but in our language it's called the shao shao. Okay, so it's like a similar instrument. Okay, and if you've watched our previous video called Rape Culture, that was the first video that we released.
Okay.
On that video we used a jaw harp. Okay, it's a kind of, yeah, it's a kind of harp instrument that you can say that it resembles a jaw harp. And
Got
then
it.
we've got this small guitar like wooden instrument which is called the duitara. So it's somewhat similar. Yeah, it's somewhat similar to what do you say to what would you say, Andres? The duitara is similar to what kind of
So
instrument?
basically, what some of the instruments are pretty similar. Okay, like you have the sitar, we have the saitar. It's called, okay. The traditional name for the version that we have is called the saitar. The duitara that we have is basically pretty unique to, I think, to the Northeast and to our part of the country, because I have not seen a version of the duitara in other parts of the country. So it's basically a smaller version of the guitar, okay, of a guitar.
So it sounds like duitara means like 2 strings, right?
Actually, it's 4 strings.
It's 4. It's
But
actually
we
4.
had to customize it. We had to make a 6-string duitara to match the tone with our 8-string guitars, since we're using 8-string guitars, right?
Yeah.
So
So when the
It's very
2 8-string,
interesting. Yeah.
yeah.
so when the 2 8-string guitars come in, it is so powerful, and we love to dwell in the lower notes, so it muffles up all these other instruments. So especially the traditional instruments, they need to be revamped slightly. So that is what we have done. The duitara that we have has been specially designed to cope up with the kind of music that we do. So ours has 6 strings.
Okay.
And instead of using the traditional string that we use in our traditional instrument, we're using nylon strings. Okay.
Nice. Okay.
And this is the jaw harp that he was talking about.
Okay.
It's made out of bamboo. It's a simple piece of instrument. It's made out of bamboo, and you can actually tune it to the keys that are required for the song. So it's something like this. So the West, they have.
I have heard this. I've heard it
Yeah.
somewhere. I do not remember, but I've definitely heard this sound. And the reason I talked about duitara, because in Bengal we have something called aktara, which is basically 1 string. One string, but it's like in the folks of Bengal, like in Baul, I don't know if you have heard about it. So in very like deep rooted Bengal kind of folk songs, they use it a lot. So I thought, because Northeast is pretty close to Bengal, it might have some similarities.
It might have, bro. It actually might have some similarities, because see, when we talk about traditional instruments, we have to realize that they are very, very basic instruments.
Exactly. Yep.
Most of them are acoustic instruments, because that is where our culture and our tradition comes from. So the instruments that we have, all of the traditional instruments are all acoustic instruments except for the duitara, and that we have revamped it slightly to fit our music. Yeah.
Great. Why don't you talk about like your inspiration, like what kind of sounds and like which bands inspired you to create music?
So personally, for me, it started out in 2012 when I formed the band. So for me, it was like definitely Meshuggah, Veil of Maya, Monuments, Periphery. Those were the bands during those days. I still listen to them till date. But then right after, just a few months, I guess, before we shifted our genre to folk metal, I started. I heard about the band called The Who.
Okay.
They're from Mongolia. So when I heard about this band, I checked them out. I listened to their stuff. So I got influence from this band. And I was like, right there and then it struck my mind, and I was like, yeah, we almost have the same instruments like these guys. So why don't we fuse progressive metal, the gent guitar tone, along with our own traditional instruments? And till date, I listen to many progressive bands. I listen to Sleep Token. Sleep Token and Architects are one of my favorite bands at the moment. So for me, it's like modern metal, modern progressive metal. Those are the bands that I listen to.
And then, in my case, since I'm a little old school, I'm way elder to the entire band. Literally, so to say. So. And initially, I was not even supposed to be with the band, to be a band member, active band member. I was supposed to be there as a manager. Cornelius and Mason had wanted me to manage the band. But when the shift in music happened, when they wanted to go to folk music and infuse traditional instruments, that was when I got interested. So I was telling him, dude, if I'm managing, I might as well play, because the itch to play is gonna be there.
Yeah.
So my influences go way back. There's a band that influenced me into metal, that infused me into metal. This was a band called Pain of Salvation. There was this album called 1 Hour by the Concrete Lake. That was the album that got me hooked, bro. Then after that, I'm an old school guy, so Symphony X, your Dream Theater, all those bands, Mercenary, all those kind of bands.
Right. I mean, I didn't mention it in the review, but when we talk about it, I mean, I kind of find similarities with the Roots, Bloody Roots of Sepultura, like the way they infused their traditional like music into like thrash metal. Now it kind of
Yeah.
like hits my head that
Dude, if you say that, I was lucky enough to have opened up for. I was with a band called Project Blend Limited then, and Sepultura were doing their Indian tour. So I was lucky enough to be on stage, like to open up for Sepultura with the band. So that was a great experience, bro. Yeah.
When was it?
This was probably 2008
in Shillong.
in Shillong.
I didn't
And that
know
was the first.
Sepultura was in India in 2000.
Yeah. So they did 3 cities. They did Delhi, they did Bangalore, and they did Shillong.
Okay, I didn't know. I would have gone. I mean, that 2008, I was in India. I would have gone to see them. I actually saw them this last year. Oh no, this year actually. So yeah. So I mean, let's talk about child abuse. And I mean, how did you guys come up with the lyrics? I mean, it's very informational and it's very kind of like strong lyrics, and also like let's talk about the music and especially the music video. So
when we started off, the first song was rape culture. We wanted to write on topics that people never talk about. So that's what made us write rape culture. And after we got a good response, quite a decent response from the West, we got some reaction videos, we got some people who wrote some reviews and articles about it. So it made us wanted to dig more into social issues and topics that are never being talked about. So we just wanted, and it was then that we thought, we sat as a band, we thought that why don't we write something about child abuse, since this is a very serious topic that happens everywhere.
Actually, dude, this is to be honest, when we shifted the genre, and then when the new guys came into the band, then we kind of had a very serious sit down as to decide, and as to to decide the focus of the band. Because like he said, the band was formed in 2012. We are in 2022. They released an album in 2019. Cornelius and Mason has been there with DYMBUR for 10 years, dude, and it's very, very difficult. I'm very sure you know how difficult it is for a metal band to make it, to have, or to sustain,
right,
to have a sustainable livelihood through metal music is very, very difficult. So one of the reasons why we shifted genre, that was one of the reasons. Then when we sat down to write our songs also, we decided that let's write on something that will be informational. Let's write on something that will actually will actually cause an effect, So we picked up, since the rape crisis in our country is really, something that is so serious, but yet people have just kind of, have become blindsided to it. So we thought, okay, we'll write about the rape crisis. As we were writing and researching about rape crisis, it dawned on us that side by side, like in the initial video, when you see the stats that have been mentioned, 1 out of every 4th rape victim is a minor. So automatically, it was just a follow through to write child abuse. So we sat down and we thought of we did our research on child abuse, and it just needed to happen, bro. That's it.
yeah. I mean, it's more than song. It's kind of very, like it's needed, right? Like bands like you, or like who are the musician, because music, I think, reaches out to people more, like rather than just saying it out loud. Like if it is a song, people will hear it more. So I think it's very important that you guys are doing it. And let's talk about the music video, because it's kind of like a short film almost. It basically shows a story. It's really well directed. So let's talk about that as well.
So yeah, the script, I mean,
Yeah.
we wrote the script for the music video,
Yeah.
based on the
Oh, okay.
lyrics. So once we wrote, we jotted down the lyrics, everything came into mind. We have the visuals.
Yes.
And the lyrics, I mean, it speaks facts.
And so basically, when we were writing it down, so certain parts in the lyrics that talk about child labor. We've got 10 million kids who are still laboring, who are still in child labor today. Then we talk about
Child marriage.
Then child sexual abuse. So these were the three core items. These were the three core issues that we wanted to highlight. So we based the script around these things, wherein we started off with showing a young girl in a wedding attire running away from the scene. That's to depict that she's running away from child marriage. She's been forced into marriage, so she's running away from it with the help of somebody, and that somebody takes money, delivers her to this couple who takes the girl in, but then so she escapes child marriage but lands up into bonded labor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and in the house where she's at, there's another much younger girl who apparently is, according to the script, is subjected to abuse.
Right.
Could be physical abuse, be sexual abuse. That's up for grabs. So that was what we wanted to do with the script, wherein we could talk about these three different facts that are happening in the country. So that's why the script came to be.
Yeah, and it's pretty awesome. Like, I like the music video a lot. I've seen it a couple of times while doing the review. So it's really well directed, and it kind of goes with the flow, like you mentioned. It's kind of lyrical in a way. It kind of goes with the lyrics. Though it's dark, but it's needed, like I said.
Yep.
All right. So let's kind of talk about like your process of creating music, right? Like how you guys, like how that happens. Like, does someone of you come up with the music, or it's like an holistic process, like everyone comes up with who writes the lyrics? And
when it comes to the music, then we call him, he's the Guruji. So Guruji will sit, and then Guruji will disappear for about 2-3 days. He will not respond to anybody. He will get into this sort of mode where he's composing, and then when the rough track is done, then he'll invite us in to have a listen, and that is when, like, whatever suggestions, whatever ideas we have, wherever we can add or take away certain things, that is when we probably come in as a band, and we then we tighten everything up together.
Yeah.
But it all starts with Cornelius, and it all starts with his vision of what the music should sound like.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what I do. I sit down at our own studio. We're lucky enough to have our own studio where I can record, and I can sit, and I can do whatever I want. I can spend like 2-3 days without thinking about studio costs and all of that. So basically what I do is I sit down and I compose the music first, and I would like to be left alone at that moment. I never like to compose a song or a tune or a melody when someone is like with me in the studio. I like to sit all alone, have my own sweet time, and work on a melody. Once the melody is done, when I feel like it's kind of good, I'd program the drums, I'd lay some rough vocals without any lyrics, and then I'd call in the boys. They'll come in, and then we'll do the extra changes and things that are required in the song. Regarding the lyrics, I sit along and write the lyrics with Andreas. So both of us, we do work on the lyrics of the songs that we compose. And after that, once the rough pre-production of the track is done, we get into a full studio mode, and we record the live drums, we record the traditional instruments and all that. But it's also very difficult for us while composing, because we have to think of composing on a particular scale, on a particular key, keeping in mind that we have to match the traditional instruments, because it's going to be very difficult. Suppose if we're playing in F, but the tune that the Duitara or the main is tuned in, what if it doesn't match the song? Even if we have like the best melody that comes out from the band, but sometimes we will have to sacrifice that melody for the sake of the traditional instruments, So these are small minor issues that we face, but I think so down the line, in the coming days when we get to sit more and produce more music, then we will get a better insight of the traditional instruments, since we never play never play the traditional instruments.
We've never
touched them, never in our lives, and that is not the way that these Khasi traditional instruments are being played. So
we're playing it in our own way.
Playing it in our own way, playing it with metal riffs, the same way the guitar pattern goes, the same way we're gonna pluck the duitara, we're gonna strum the duitara, and the riffs pattern will be exactly the same way. So it's a very what do you say? It's a complicated process, but it's fun, man. It's really fun.
And just to mention here, we have been criticized for using our traditional instruments the way we are using it right now.
Yeah.
Okay, we as musicians, we really couldn't care much for that, because as far as we see it, we are showcasing our traditional instruments to the West. We are trying to put out a very strong message out to the West. Our issues, our subject matter is something serious that needs to be talked about. At the same time, we're highlighting our traditional instruments. That being said, since we are a very close-knit community, there may be a section of traditional artists who may feel that we are not using the instruments correctly. Then again, like Gaur said, this is a learning process for us. None of us, I think, in the band is a learned musician, right? Except for Cornelius. He has studied music. The rest of us, 5 of us, we have just picked it up on our own. So, and then traditional instruments, just like any other instrument, will need time. So hopefully with more songs, with more compositions, and with more time with our traditional instruments, I think we will get better at it.
I think it's a very common thing in India that whenever you want to do anything with the traditional thing, there are purists who are going to come and kind of oppose it. So
you to understand, Baba?
You understand.
What?
I said you understand that very well.
Yeah, I can completely get that mentality. So and so basically whenever you're creating the music, you have that in your head that, I mean, you're going to introduce those traditional components. So
Yeah.
I have to tweak it a little bit. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And I mean, and maybe you have mentioned, so the lyrics comes later. So, or
yeah, it comes later. We do the instruments first. We find the melody, we get the song done first, the lyrics, it comes later.
Of course, when we started off with this second album that we're gonna hopefully release sometime soon, we already have in mind the kind of tone or the kind of theme that song needs to be. Like when Kaur sat down to compose rape culture, we had already spoken about rape culture. We had already spoken about how serious that issue is. So we have a sit down where and we really try to understand what we are going to write about. So based on that, the sound, the feel, the tone of the song then is decided upon. And then obviously, like you said, then we sit down and put down the lyrics.
Nice. Okay. All right. So my next question, we wanted to know, like, how do you define? I mean, you kind of touched about it, but how do you define the present Indian like metal scene? And then where do you think you guys stand in that scene? Or how do you define that?
So yeah, the Indian metal scene is like, I would say it is growing. There are lots of bands out there, good bands that are still active. We've got like legendary bands and good old school bands.
Yeah.
And we've got like bands like Bloodywood and all who are doing it quite well, quite big. And then, but the thing is that, we lack gigs here. That's the thing, we don't find good gigs and, proper band payments for bands and all, sometimes we just have lots of bands, they have to play for free and all of that. And there are lots of problems, I mean, like people, I would say like 90% of the Indian population, they will never support metal, There's just a small community of metalheads and it's just between us, if we like each other, we're going to be the same guys who are going to watch other bands' videos. who are gonna comment, who are gonna share their content.
We will buy the tickets also.
Yeah, and we will buy the tickets also.
So we will buy the tickets, not like oh free me, arre dost hai to free me le liya, and go for a free concert, So that consciousness is there amongst the metal musicians in India. So it is a bit of a close knit kind of a community. But like he said again, the scene. When we talk about the metal scene, and then we're talking about organizers, we're talking about festivals, we're talking about events. So there's enough of it, but not in metal, not enough in metal. So for metal musicians to survive of metal alone is close to impossible. Yeah. Now somebody has done it. Somebody has broken through and done it, and that would be Bloodywood. Bloodywood now is a very big band.
Yeah,
they're a very big band, and they're using metal and folk together to make the breakthrough. That being said, yeah. So I think our country, we are too dominated by Bollywood. Yeah. So it's a little difficult.
Yeah.
It's a little difficult, yeah.
And talking about DYMBUR, it took us 10 years, and we're still here. I don't think so we've achieved anything which is like, which is like so big in terms of the band. The best thing that we have achieved is like, fusing our own traditional instruments into the music that we play. And I think it's all up to the audience and up to our supporters. I will not call them fans at the moment because we are not like such a huge band, I would call them our supporters. And it's all up to them, I mean, like if they like our music, they're gonna support us, and we're gonna keep pushing, and we're gonna keep doing what we do. And I hope so somewhere down the line, maybe 3, 4, 5 years down the line, we're gonna, maybe a particular song is gonna give us our breakthrough. And by that time, I hope those new fans and new people and new supporters, they're gonna look back at our biography and old material and all of that, and it's gonna make things happen for the band.
I'm sure that's gonna happen. I mean, already people are talking about you guys, like outside India also, which is a good thing. And I actually forgot to mention, you guys are 10. It's like 10 years birthday, you guys. So
yeah.
For that. So yeah, and I
Thanks.
hope like in India we should have like more fests, like metal fests, and where like bunch of other metal groups can perform together. And like as a fellow Indian, I would also kind of like to promote good bands from India to the world. So the reason I'm doing this interview, it kind of makes me proud that you guys are representing India in a way. So
thank you, man.
Yeah. And let's talk about your future plans, like your tours or like any album that is coming up.
Yeah, so at the moment we're not playing live shows because like we're still very busy sitting in the studio and working on our songs. Yeah, we have a plan for an album, which is going to be our second album, but a first album as in being a folk metal band. So but before that, I think we are thinking of releasing maybe another 4 to 5 singles along with music videos, because at the end of the day, what matters to us, I mean, like as a band, we have learned from the previous album that we released, fine, we were a little known at that time, from 2012 to 2019. We've played like quite a few shows across different cities in India. We've competed in college festivals and IITs and all that. Okay, band battle of the band contest and all of that. The biggest one of the good milestone for the band at that moment was when we opened for Veil of Maya when they toured India, and when they came down to Guwahati. So that is a milestone that we'll always remember, and something that we'll always keep it close to our hearts. So at the moment, we have thought that we will keep the new album on hold, and we will release maybe another 4 to 5 music videos along. 4 to 5 music videos, new singles, and then we will see how it goes for the band. I mean, like we will see the reactions and the approach and what people think about it. And when we feel that the time is right, then we're gonna compile the songs that we have released along with new materials in an album.
Yeah, so like Kaur said, I think the way to go right now, we've already tried releasing. They tried releasing an album in 2019, And to be very, very honest, they couldn't even sell the CDs, you know. They printed out, what, 250 CDs?
Yeah, around 250. So we had around 120, 130 CDs left. And it was also because of the pandemic that hit us.
Of course, the lockdown, the pandemic, and all that happened. So I think right now the smart thing to do is to just push our singles first. We have dates that we have set for our singles again. By God's grace, hopefully we can produce another 3 music videos. 2 are already in the pipeline. We're working on 2 upcoming music videos. Let's hope we can pull off the 3rd as well, with some help and some support. And yeah, that's about it. And then at the end, hopefully, like you said, hopefully next year when we start touring and gigging, that is when we'll probably compile everything together into an album.
You will be looking forward to it. So any concerts or like shows lined up right now? Or?
We've been canceling shows. Yeah,
we got like 2-3 shows.
Is it because of the COVID or?
No. It's because like honestly, we haven't got time to sit as a band and jam.
Yeah.
We're like very busy in the studio, you know, and it's a hectic. I mean, it's gonna be very hectic for us, you know. I mean, like we've got like there's 6 members in the band, but still, like we've got like parts in the song where we have to switch instruments in between, and then, you know, we've got these traditional instruments happening, and you know, so it's, I mean, like we're taking a break on that at the moment, and we're concentrating on working on our singles first and getting the music and the message out first at the moment.
Well, but of course, you know, jamming, coming in together, we have put a time slot separate for one. Once we're done with our composing, once we're done with the next 3 of our maybe singles, then maybe we will sit down as a band, because there are some songs from the whole album that we want to include in our list if we start touring and all that. So another reason being also that 2 of our band members are a little far off from us. The drummer Shan and Gaudi, these cousins, and our Gaudi plays the guitar and plays the guitars, and the drummer, they're cousins, and they're from Juai, so they're roughly about 60 kilometers away from us. So it's not that we get to meet very often, you know. So but we will set a time slot separately for when we have to start gigging. So we need to prepare for that as well.
Hopefully one day I'll be able to shoot you guys live. So
awesome, that'd be awesome, bro. That'd be really great.
Okay, that's great talking with you guys. I mean, I kind of covered all the questions, but let me know if you guys think that I didn't ask you anything, you wanted to talk about anything that I didn't ask. So this is a chance to talk about that.
I think it was a,
yeah, I think we've covered
everything, I guess.
Just I think one thing I'd just like to you know, put it out there again, regarding the content of what we're doing right now. It's very sensitive, and if you go back and listen to rape culture, and if you listen to child abuse, even the reactions that we've gotten from the, you know, from outside the country, most of the people have said the same thing. It's very, very sensitive, and some people from outside the country don't even know that these things happen in the world, you know. So it is our content right now, our message right now is very sensitive. So we request our you know, viewers and our supporters to please, you know, we don't want it to just end there. Like for child abuse, at the end we have put, you know, we've made the video to support a certain foundation called Spark Foundation. They help street children, they educate them, you know. So there is an actual need for it, you know. It's not just about just making the song, raising awareness, and we forget about it. But then now it's up to people who really care to come forward and to do something about it. So at the end of child abuse, if you see this, if you watch the video, you will see that we've put a bank account number that links directly to Spark Foundation. And they are in desperate need of financial aid, because they're educating children for free. They just have volunteers, you know. It's run by a very brave woman who is in a lot of financial debt. So, you know, these are the things that we really want our supporters and our, you know, people who view our videos to help out with. Yeah.
And that's great. Yeah, I mean, I tried to include that in the review as well, because that's a great cause. I mean, not all the bands do that. So, I mean, kudos to you guys for doing that. I guess that's the end of the interview. I mean, it was great talking with you guys. I would be looking forward to the upcoming music and the music videos. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And hopefully
you.
someday you'll get to meet and you will get to shoot us on stage, and we would love to see the footage.
Absolutely. We'll keep in touch. We'll keep in touch.
Definitely, bro.
Yeah. In India, I'm not too far away from you guys. So probably we'll meet.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
All right. Thank
Okay.
you so much. Thank you so much, Arun.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye. Have a good day.
You too, man.
Bye-bye.
Good day.
You're listening to Rock at Night.
The introductory song, Get On Down, is from blues artist Billy Bass Alford. Look for his music at ReverbNation.com.